Maya Rodriguez stood outside the glass doors of elite Brazilian jiu-jitsu academy. Her hands were shaking. She had been thinking about this moment for 3 months. Every day after work she drove past this building. Every day she told herself she would go inside tomorrow. Today was finally tomorrow. The building looked scary from the outside. Through the windows she could see people rolling around on blue mats. They moved like dancers, but they were fighting. Some wore white uniforms. Others wore blue or black. She had read online that the colors meant different skill levels. She was going to start with a white belt, the lowest level. Maya was 28 years old. She worked at a bank in downtown Los Angeles. Her job was boring. She sat at a desk all day and looked at numbers on a computer screen. She felt weak and tired all the time. Her body hurt from sitting so much. She wanted to feel strong again. 6 months ago, Maya watched a movie about a woman who learned martial arts. The woman started weak and scared, just like Maya felt. By the end of the movie, the woman was strong and confident. Maya wanted that feeling. She wanted to know she could protect herself. She wanted to feel powerful. Maya took a deep breath and pushed open the door. The smell hit her first. It was a mix of sweat, cleaning products, and something else she could not name. The sound was loud. People were breathing hard. She heard the slap of bodies hitting the mats. Someone was counting in Portuguese. A man at the front desk looked up when she walked in. He was young, maybe 25, with muscles that showed through his tight shirt. His name tag said, "Tommy. First time here?" Tommy asked. His voice was friendly. "Yes," Maya said. Her voice came out as a whisper. She cleared her throat and tried again. "Yes, I called yesterday about the beginner class." Tommy smiled. Maya. "Right? Cool. Carlos is teaching tonight. He's the best instructor we have. Really good with new people." Maya nodded. She looked around the gym. It was bigger than it looked from outside. There were 2 large mat areas. In one area, about 15 people were sitting in a circle. They all wore white uniforms with different colored belts. Most of them were men. Maya saw only 2 other women in. The other area, people were wrestling on the ground. These people wore different colored uniforms. They moved fast and smooth. Maya watched one man wrap his legs around another man's neck. The second man tapped his hand on the mat 3 times, and they stopped. "That's a triangle choke," Tommy said. Following her eyes, "Those guys are advanced students. They've been training for years." Maya felt her stomach drop. Everyone looked so skilled. Everyone looked like they belonged here. She felt like a child who had walked into a college classroom by mistake. "Don't worry," Tommy said. "Everyone starts somewhere. I remember my first day. I thought I was going to die." A whistle blew. The people in both areas stopped what they were doing. They formed neat lines and bowed to their instructors. Then they started talking and laughing with each other. "That's the end of the advanced class," Tommy said. "The beginner class starts in 10 minutes. A man walked over to them. He was short and stocky with dark hair and kind eyes. He looked like he was in his 40s. His uniform was different from the others. It was black with a red and black belt around his waist. "You must be Maya," the man said. His accent was Brazilian. "I'm Carlos Silva. Welcome to our academy." Carlos shook her hand. His grip was strong but not crushing. Maya felt some of her nervousness fade away. Carlos seemed nice. "This is your first time doing jiu-jitsu?" Carlos asked. "Yes," Maya said. "I've never done any martial arts before." "That's okay," Carlos said. "Most people start with no experience. The important thing is that you're here. That's the hardest part." Carlos led her to a small office near the front desk. He gave her a white uniform to try on. The uniform was called a GI, he explained. It had a jacket, pants, and a white belt. "The changing room is over there." Carlos pointed to a door with a sign that said, "Women. When you're ready, come back to the mat. We'll start with some basic movements." Maya changed into the uniform. It felt strange and stiff. The jacket was thick and heavy. The pants were looser than she expected. She looked at herself in the mirror. She looked like she was wearing pajamas. When she came out, the beginner class was starting. There were 8 people on the mat, including Maya, 6 men and 2 women. The other woman looked like she was in her 30s. She had short brown hair and looked very fit. The men were all different ages. Some looked like they were in college. Others looked older, like they worked in offices like Maya. Carlos stood in front of the group. Tonight we have a new student. Maya, would you like to introduce yourself? Maya felt her face get hot. Everyone was looking at her. I'm Maya, she said quietly. I work at a bank. I wanted to try something new. Everyone said hello. They seemed friendly enough, but Maya could tell they were studying her. She wondered if they thought she would quit after one class. We're going to start with basic movements, Carlos said. These are called shrimping and bridging. They help you move on the ground and escape from bad positions. Carlos showed them how to shrimp. It looked simple. You laid on your side and pushed with your feet to move your hips back. But when Maya tried it, she felt clumsy and slow. Everyone else seemed to pick it up quickly. Next was bridging. You laid on your back and pushed your hips up using your feet and shoulders. This was harder than it looked. Maya's back hurt after just a few tries. Don't worry about being perfect, Carlos said to the group, but Maya felt like he was talking to her. These movements take time to learn. Even advanced students practice them every day. After the basic movements, Carlos taught them a simple escape from under someone. Maya had to practice with the other new woman, whose name was Sarah. Sarah had been training for 2 months. She was much better than Maya. You're doing fine, Sarah whispered when they switched positions. I was terrible my first day. I almost cried. This made Maya feel a little better, but she still felt frustrated. Her body did not want to move the way Carlos showed them. She felt weak and uncoordinated. During the last part of class, Carlos had them do light sparring. This meant they took turns trying to hold each other down or escape from under each other. Maya went first with Sarah. Sarah was gentle, but she still controlled Maya easily. Every time Maya tried to move, Sarah stopped her. When they switched positions, Maya could not hold Sarah down at all. Sarah slipped away from her like water. The class ended with everyone sitting in a circle. Carlos talked about what they had learned. He reminded them to practice the basic movements at home. Remember, Carlos said, jiu-jitsu is a journey. Some days will be hard. Some days you will want to quit. But if you keep coming, you will get better. I promise you that. After class, Maya changed back into her regular clothes. Her whole body was sore. She was covered in sweat, even though she felt like she had not done anything well. As she walked to her car, she heard voices behind her. She turned and saw 3 men from the advanced class talking near the entrance. One of them was very tall, with blonde hair. He wore a brown belt, which Maya had learned was a high rank. Did you see the new girl? The tall man said. His voice was loud enough for Maya to hear. I give her 2 weeks before she quits, the other men laughed. Maybe less. One of them said, she looked like she'd never moved her body before. Maya felt her face burn with embarrassment. She quickly got in her car and drove away. As she drove home, she thought about what they had said. Maybe they were right. Maybe she did not belong there, but as she sat in traffic, she remembered how she felt during the basic movements. Even though she was bad at them, even though her body hurt, she had felt something she had not felt in years. She had felt alive. Maya made a decision. She would go back tomorrow. Maya had been training at elite Brazilian jiu-jitsu academy for 3 months. She came to class 4 times a week, never missing a session. Her body was getting stronger. The basic movements that seemed impossible on her first day were now becoming natural. She could shrimp across the mat without thinking about it. Her bridging was getting better every week. Carlos was happy with her progress. You're improving fast, he told her after class one Tuesday night. You work harder than most students I've seen. Maya felt proud when Carlos said this. She had never been good at sports in school. She had always been the last person picked for teams. But here, she was learning something new every day. She was getting better at something that mattered. The beginner class was going well. Maya had made friends with Sarah, the other woman who had been training for 2 months when Maya started. Sarah was now helping Maya learn new techniques. They practiced together after class sometimes, but Maya wanted more. She watched the advanced class train while she was stretching after her beginner class. They moved like they were dancing. They flowed from one position to another without stopping. Maya wanted to move like that. One day, Carlos asked Maya if she wanted to try the intermediate class. "You're ready," he said. "The beginner's class is getting too easy for you." Maya felt excited and scared at the same time. The intermediate class trained with some of the advanced students. She would be rolling with people who had been training for years. But she also knew this was the next step. Her first intermediate class was on a Thursday night. There were about 20 people in the class. Maya recognized some of them from watching the advanced class. Most of them were men. There were only 2 other women, and they both looked very skilled. The instructor for the intermediate class was Jake Morrison. Maya had seen him before. He was the tall blonde man with the brown belt who had made fun of her on her first day. He was 26 years old and had been training for 8 years. Everyone said he was the best fighter in the academy. Jake was different from Carlos. Carlos was patient and kind. Jake was serious and demanding. He did not smile much. When he taught a technique, he expected everyone to understand it right away. "We're going to work on guard passes tonight," Jake announced to the class. "This is intermediate level stuff. If you can't keep up, you should probably go back to the beginner class." Maya felt like Jake was looking at her when he said this. She tried to focus on the technique he was showing. It was complicated. You had to grab your opponent's GI in a specific way, then step around their legs in a certain pattern when it was time to practice. Maya was paired with a man named David. David had been training for 2 years. He was patient with Maya and helped her understand the technique better. Maya felt like she was getting it. Then Jake walked over to watch them practice. "She's doing it wrong," Jake said to David. "Look at her grip. Look at her footwork. This is basic stuff." Maya felt her face get hot. She tried to adjust her grip the way Jake wanted. But now that he was watching, she felt nervous. She made more mistakes. "This is what happens when people move up too fast," Jake said loudly. Other students turned to look. The intermediate class isn't for everyone. Maya wanted to disappear. She could feel everyone staring at her. David looked uncomfortable. "She's actually picking it up pretty well," David said quietly. Jake ignored him. "Maybe you should stick to the beginner class for a few more months," Jake said to Maya. "Work on the basics." Maya nodded and looked down at the mat. She felt like a child being scolded by a teacher. For the rest of the class, she tried to stay out of Jake's way. After class, Maya was changing in the women's locker room. The other woman from the intermediate class was there. Her name was Lisa, and she had been training for 4 years. "Don't let Jake get to you," Lisa said. "He's like that with everyone at first. He's testing you." "Testing me for what?" Maya asked. "2. See if you'll quit," Lisa said. "He thinks martial arts should be hard. He thinks if you can't handle the pressure, you don't belong here." Maya thought about this as she drove home. She did not like being tested. She did not like being made to feel stupid in front of other people, but she also did not want to quit. She loved jiu-jitsu too much to let one person ruin it for her. The next week, Maya came back to the intermediate class. This time, Jake paired her with himself for sparring practice. Maya was nervous. Jake was much bigger and stronger than her. He was also much more skilled. "Let's see what you've learned," Jake said as they started to roll. Maya tried to use the techniques she had been practicing, but Jake was too fast and too strong. He easily passed her guard and got to a dominant position. Then he applied pressure, with his weight making it hard for Maya to breathe. "You're not using your hips," Jake said while he was controlling her. "This is basic stuff. How do you expect to get better if you can't do the basics?" Maya tried to escape, but Jake was too heavy. She felt panicked. She could not breathe well. She tapped out, which meant she was giving up. "Again," Jake said. They started over. This time, Jake was even more aggressive. He grabbed her ji roughly and used his weight to crush her. Maya felt like she was being bullied. When she tried to move, Jake would pin her down harder. "You're too weak," Jake said. "You need to be stronger if you want to train with us." Maya tapped out again. Her ribs hurt from Jake's weight. She felt like she might cry, but she did not want to give Jake the satisfaction of seeing her upset. This continued for the next few weeks. Every time Maya came to the intermediate class, Jake would find ways to make her feel small. He would pair her with the strongest students. He would criticize her technique in front of everyone. He would make comments about her being weak or slow. The other students started to notice. Some of them felt bad for Maya. David always tried to help her when he could. Lisa would give her advice after class. But others started to follow Jake's lead. There was a group of students who hung around Jake after class. They thought he was cool because he was the best fighter in the academy. They started making comments about Maya too. "Maybe she should try yoga instead," one of them said loud enough for Maya to hear. "This isn't a place for weekend warriors." Another one said, "Maya heard these comments, but she tried to ignore them. She focused on her training. She practiced the techniques at home. She watched videos online to learn more. She was determined to get better, but Jake was not done with her." During one class, he was teaching a submission called a rear naked choke. It was a technique where you wrapped your arm around someone's neck from behind. If you did it right, the person would go to sleep in a few seconds. "This is a dangerous technique," Jake explained to the class. "You have to be careful. If someone taps out, you let go immediately." When it was time to practice, Jake called Maya to the front of the class. "I'll demonstrate on Maya," he said. Maya walked to the front of the mat. She felt nervous with everyone watching. Jake got behind her and wrapped his arm around her neck. "The key is to get your arm in the right position," Jake said to the class. As he spoke, he tightened his grip on Maya's neck. Maya felt the pressure immediately. It was uncomfortable, but not painful. Jake was supposed to demonstrate the position, not actually choke her, but Jake kept tightening his grip. Maya felt her vision start to blur. She could not breathe. She tried to tap Jake's arm to let him know she was giving up, but he did not. "Let go. You can see how effective this technique is," Jake said to the class. His arm was still tight around Maya's neck. Maya felt like she was going to pass out. She tapped Jake's arm harder, but he still did not let go. Finally, Carlos, who was watching from the side, stepped forward. "That's enough, Jake," Carlos said firmly. Jake let go. Maya gasped for air. Her neck hurt. She felt dizzy and confused. The other students were staring at her. "See how quickly someone can go unconscious?" Jake said to the class as if nothing had happened. "That's why this technique is so dangerous." Maya stumbled back to her place in the group. She was shaking. She knew that what Jake had done was not normal. He had held the choke too long on purpose. He was trying to scare her. After class, Carlos came up to Maya. "Are you okay?" he asked. Jake was supposed to just show the position, not actually choke you. "I'm fine," Maya said, but she was not fine. She was angry and scared and embarrassed. "If you ever feel unsafe in class, you tell me," Carlos said. "That's not how we train here." Maya nodded, but she wondered if Carlos would really do anything. Jake was the star student. He brought prestige to the academy. Maya was just a beginner who had been training for 3 months. That night, Maya sat in her car in the parking lot after class. She thought about quitting. Jake and his friends were making her life miserable. Every class was a struggle. She felt like she was fighting against the techniques and against the people who were supposed to be her teammates. But then she thought about how much she loved jiu-jitsu. She thought about the feeling she got when she successfully executed a technique. She thought about how strong her body was becoming. She thought about the confidence she was building. Maya made a decision. She was not going to let Jake Morrison drive her away from something she loved. She was going to keep training. She was going to get better. And someday she was going to show Jake that she belonged here just as much as he did. Maya had been training for 6 months now. Her body was completely different from when she started. Her arms had muscles she had never seen before. Her legs were strong from all the drilling and sparring. She could feel power in her movements. That had never been there before, but the harassment from Jake Morrison was getting worse. He seemed to enjoy making her feel small. Every class was a battle, not just with the techniques, but with Jake's constant criticism and his followers, who laughed at his cruel comments. The breaking point came on a Tuesday night in October. Maya had been working on a new guard pass all week. She felt confident about it. During the drilling portion of class, she was paired with a newer student named Mike. Mike had been training for only 1 month, so Maya was helping him learn the technique. Good, Maya said as Mike tried the guard pass. Just remember to keep your posture straight when you stand up. Maya felt proud. She was finally at a level where she could help other students. This was progress. This was what jiu-jitsu was supposed to be about, students helping each other get better, but Jake was watching. He walked over to where Maya and Mike were practicing. Mike, you don't want to learn from her, Jake said loudly. She's been training for 6 months and she's still terrible. Come over here and I'll show you how to do it right. Maya felt her face burn with embarrassment. Mike looked uncomfortable but followed Jake to the other side of the mat. Maya was left standing alone. Maya, you can work with Tommy, Jake said, pointing to one of his regular training partners. Tommy was a purple belt who had been training for 5 years. He was known for being rough with newer students. Tommy walked over with a smirk on his face. Let's see what you've got, he said. Maya knew what was coming. This was not going to be practice. This was going to be punishment. Tommy immediately started applying pressure and using techniques that were too advanced for drilling practice. He was not trying to help Maya learn. He was trying to dominate her. You're doing it all wrong, Tommy said as he easily passed Maya's guard. Jake's right. You're not ready for this level. Maya tried to focus on the technique, but Tommy was being too aggressive. He was using his strength and size to overpower her instead of letting her practice the moves. Maya felt frustrated and angry. When it was time for live sparring, Jake made sure Maya was paired with the strongest students. First was Alex, a big man who outweighed Maya by 60 pounds. Alex was normally a nice person, but with Jake watching, he rolled much harder than usual. Alex grabbed Maya's jaw roughly and used his weight to pin her down. Maya could barely breathe under his pressure. She tried to use the technique she had learned, but Alex was too strong. Every time she tried to move, he would smash her back down. See how easy it is? Jake said to the class while Maya was struggling under Alex's weight. This is what happens when people don't have good fundamentals. Maya tapped out, gasping for air. Her ribs were sore from Alex's weight. She felt dizzy and defeated. Again, Jake said. Maya had to spar with Alex 3 more times. Each time was worse than the last. Alex seemed to be getting more aggressive with each round. Maya's sky was soaked with sweat. Her body was covered in bruises from Alex's rough grips after sparring with Alex. Jake paired Maya with another advanced student named Ryan. Ryan was faster than Alex, but just as strong. He moved around Maya like she was standing still. He submitted her with chokes and arm locks over and over again. This is embarrassing, Jake said loudly enough for everyone to hear. Maya, you're making the whole academy look bad. Maybe you should find a different hobby. The room went quiet. Even the students who usually laughed at Jake's comments looked uncomfortable. Maya felt tears starting to form in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She would not give Jake the satisfaction of seeing her cry, but Jake was not done. He decided to roll with Maya himself for the last sparring session of the night. Maya was already exhausted from rolling with Alex and Ryan. Her body was sore and her mind was tired. But she could not say no. Everyone was watching. Jake started aggressively from the beginning. He grabbed Maya's GI with both hands and threw her backward onto the mat. The impact knocked the wind out of her. Before she could recover, Jake was on top of her, using his full weight to pin her down. This is pathetic, Jake said while he was crushing Maya with his weight. You've been training for 6 months and you can't even defend yourself against a basic takedown. Maya tried to bridge and escape, but Jake was too heavy. She felt like she was drowning. She could not breathe properly. She could not move. She was completely helpless. Jake started working for a submission. He grabbed Maya's arm and started to apply an arm lock. Maya knew she should tap out before he hurt her, but something inside her refused to give up. She gritted her teeth and tried to defend. Tap out, Jake said. You're going to hurt yourself. Maya shook her head. She was not going to tap. She was tired of tapping. She was tired of giving up. She was tired of being made to look weak in front of everyone. Jake increased the pressure on her arm. Maya felt sharp pain shooting through her elbow. She knew she should tap, but she was too angry to quit. She would rather let Jake break her arm than give him the satisfaction of making her submit again. Tap out, Jake said again, louder this time. Maya looked directly into Jake's eyes. No, she said through gritted teeth. Jake looked surprised. Nobody had ever refused to tap when he was applying a submission. He increased the pressure even more. Maya felt like her arm was going to break, but she still refused to tap. Finally, Carlos stepped onto the mat. That's enough, he said firmly. Time's up. Jake let go of Maya's arm. Maya pulled her arm back and rubbed her elbow. It was throbbing with pain, but she had not tapped. She had not given Jake what he wanted. You're an idiot, Jake said as he stood up. You could have seriously injured yourself. This is exactly the kind of stupid decision-making that shows you don't belong here. Maya stood up slowly. Her whole body was in pain. Her jiu was torn in 2 places. She had carpet burn on her elbows and knees. But she looked Jake directly in the eyes. I'm not going anywhere, Maya said quietly, but everyone heard her. Jake laughed. We'll see about that, he said. Most people quit after they get a taste of what real training is like. After class, Maya sat in her car in the parking lot. She was shaking, partly from exhaustion and partly from rage. Her arm was still throbbing from Jake's submission attempt. She looked at herself in the rearview mirror. She looked like she had been in a fight. Maya thought about quitting. She thought about never coming back to this place. She thought about finding a different academy where she could train in peace. She thought about giving up martial arts completely and going back to her boring but safe life at the bank, but then she thought about Jake's face when she refused to tap out. She thought about how surprised he looked when someone finally stood up to him. She thought about the other students who were watching, and how some of them looked impressed that she had not given up. Maya made a decision that night. She was not going to quit. She was not going to let Jake Morrison drive her away from something she loved. But she was also not going to continue being a victim. Maya started researching other training options. She found a small gym across town that specialized in mixed martial arts. The instructor there was a former UFC fighter named Marcus Thompson. Marcus had a reputation for being tough but fair. He trained fighters who competed professionally. Maya called Marcus the next day. She explained her situation without mentioning Jake's name. She said she was looking for additional training to improve her skills. I can train you, Marcus said. But I need to warn you, my training is hard. I don't take students who aren't serious about getting better. I'm serious, Maya said. I want to get as good as I can, as fast as I can. Maya started training with Marcus 3 days a week in addition to her regular classes at Elite Academy. Marcus's gym was completely different from Jake's academy. It was smaller and rougher. The students there were training to fight professionally. They did not have time for politics or bullying. Marcus taught Maya things that Jake's academy did not cover. He taught her how to strike from the ground. He taught her how to defend against bigger, stronger opponents. He taught her how to use aggression as a tool instead of just absorbing it from others. You're too nice, Marcus told Maya during one of their training sessions. Nice people get beat up in fighting. You need to find your mean side. Maya worked on finding her mean side. She practiced techniques over and over until they became automatic. She lifted weights to get stronger. She ran every morning to improve her cardio. She studied videos of fighters who were smaller than their opponents but still found ways to win. Most importantly, Marcus taught Maya about mental toughness. Fighting is 90% mental, he said. Your body can do amazing things when your mind is strong. But if your mind is weak, your body will quit on you. Maya learned to embrace discomfort. She learned to push through pain and exhaustion. She learned to stay calm when people were trying to hurt her. She learned that being afraid was normal, but letting fear control you was a choice. Maya had been training for 9 months now. Her secret training with Marcus Thompson was paying off in ways that nobody at Elite Academy could see. She was stronger, faster, and more skilled than ever before. But she continued to hide her true abilities during sparring sessions. Jake Morrison still treated her like a punching bag. He still made cruel comments about her technique. He still paired her with the biggest and strongest students during sparring. But Maya was different now. She could handle the physical punishment. She could ignore the mental games. She was waiting for the right moment to reveal what she had become. That moment came in February, when Carlos made an announcement that changed everything. "Listen up, everyone," Carlos said at the beginning of class one Thursday night. "We're going to have our annual internal tournament next month. This is a chance for everyone to test their skills against other students from the academy." Maya felt her heart start beating faster. She had been waiting for this opportunity. A tournament would be the perfect place to show everyone what she could really do. "The tournament will have 3 divisions," Carlos continued. "Beginner, intermediate, and advanced. You should sign up for the division that matches your skill level and training time." After class, Maya walked over to the sign-up sheet. She looked at the 3 divisions. The beginner division was for people who had been training for less than 6 months. The intermediate division was for people who had been training for 6 months to 2 years. The advanced division was for people who had been training for more than 2 years. Maya had been training for 9 months. By the rules, she should sign up for the intermediate division. But Maya had other plans. She picked up the pen and wrote her name under the advanced division. She knew this would cause problems. She knew people would think she was crazy. But she was ready to prove herself against the best students in the academy. Maya heard footsteps behind her. She turned around and saw Jake Morrison reading over her shoulder. When he saw where she had signed up, he started laughing. "You've got to be kidding me," Jake said loudly. "Maya, you can't be serious about this." Other students started gathering around to see what was happening. Maya felt all eyes on her, but she was not nervous. She was excited. "You've been training for 9 months?" Jake continued. "The advanced division is for people who have been training for years. You're going to embarrass yourself." Maya looked Jake directly in the eyes. "I'm ready," she said simply. Jake laughed even harder. "Ready? You can barely handle intermediate students. The advanced division has people who compete professionally." "I'm in the advanced division," Maya smiled. This was exactly what she had been hoping for. "Good," she said. "I look forward to rolling with you." Jake's expression changed. He was not used to Maya talking back to him. For 9 months, she had been quiet and submissive. Now she was acting confident and fearless. "You know what?" Jake sighed. "Fine, sign up for the advanced division. But don't come crying to me when you get destroyed. And don't blame me when you get hurt." Word spread quickly through the academy that Maya had signed up for the advanced division. Most people thought she was making a mistake. Some felt sorry for her. Others were excited to see what would happen. David, her old training partner, came up to her after class. "Maya, are you sure about this? The advanced division is really tough. There are some killers in there." "I'm sure," Maya said. "I've been working hard. I'm ready for this." Lisa, the other woman from the intermediate class, also expressed concern. "Maya, I've been training for 4 years and I'm still in the intermediate division. You might want to think about this." But Maya had already made up her mind. She was done being underestimated. She was done being treated like she did not belong. The tournament was her chance to prove everyone wrong. The next few weeks were intense. Maya increased her training with Marcus. She worked on specific techniques that would help her in the tournament. She studied video of Jake and other advanced students to understand their fighting styles. "You're going to surprise a lot of people," Marcus told her during one of their training sessions. "But remember, surprising them is not enough. You have To be ready to finish what you start? Maya knew Marcus was right. It would not be enough to just compete well. She needed to win. She needed to prove that she belonged at the highest level. Maya also continued training at Elite Academy, but she was careful not to show her true abilities. She still let people beat her during sparring. She still absorbed Jake's insults. She wanted everyone to think she was the same weak student they had been bullying for months. Jake was particularly cruel during the weeks leading up to the tournament. He seemed to enjoy the fact that Maya was going to be humiliated in front of everyone. "I almost feel bad for you," Jake said during one sparring session. "You're going to get destroyed in the first round. Maybe you should quit now and save yourself the embarrassment?" Maya just smiled. "We'll see," she said. The tournament was scheduled for a Saturday in March. The format would be single elimination, which meant if you lost one match, you were out. The matches would be 6 minutes long, with points awarded for dominant positions and submission attempts. Maya had been visualizing her tournament performance for weeks. She imagined herself moving smoothly from one technique to another. She imagined herself staying calm under pressure. She imagined herself winning. The week before the tournament, Maya made a decision that surprised everyone. She asked Carlos if she could train with the advanced class for the whole week. "Are you sure?" Carlos asked. "That's going to be really tough. Those guys are going to come at you hard." "I want to be ready," Maya said. "I need to get used to their pace." Carlos agreed to let Maya train with the advanced class. Jake was delighted. He thought this was his chance to really break Maya down before the tournament. "Now you're going to see what real training is like," Jake said before their first sparring session, but Maya was ready. She had been training for this moment for months. When Jake came at her aggressively, she was not overwhelmed. She moved calmly and defended well. She did not submit Jake, but she did not get submitted either. Jake was surprised. Maya was lasting longer than usual. She was defending better than he expected. But he thought this was just a good day for her. The other advanced students were also surprised by Maya's improvement. She was still losing to most of them, but she was making them work harder than before. She was not the easy target she used to be. "She's gotten better," Alex said to Jake after sparring with Maya. "She's not as easy to submit as she used to be." Jake waved off Alex's comment. "She's still terrible," he said. "Wait until the tournament? The pressure will get to her and she fold like she always does." But Maya was not folding. She was getting stronger and more confident every day. She was absorbing everything the advanced students were teaching her. She was learning their techniques and their strategies. By the end of the week, Maya had sparred with every advanced student in the academy. She had held her own against most of them. She had shown that she could compete at their level. The night before the tournament, Maya went to bed early. She had done everything she could to prepare. She had trained her body and her mind. She had studied her opponents and planned her strategy. Maya was not nervous. She was excited. She had been waiting for this moment for months. Tomorrow, she would show everyone what she had become. The tournament was held in the main training area of Elite Academy. Mats were arranged in a square with chairs around the outside for spectators. Students from other academies were also competing, so the room was crowded with fighters and their coaches. Maya arrived early and began warming up. She stretched her muscles and drilled basic techniques. She felt loose and ready. Her mind was clear and focused. Other competitors were also warming up. Maya watched them move. She analyzed their techniques and their styles. She was looking for weaknesses she could exploit. Jake arrived with his usual group of followers. He was laughing and joking, acting like he had already won the tournament. When he saw Maya, he shook his head and smiled. "Last chance to back out," Jake said. "You can still switch to the intermediate division." Maya looked at Jake calmly. "I'm exactly where I want to be," she said. The tournament brackets were announced. Maya was in the same bracket as Jake, which meant they could potentially meet in the finals if they both won their earlier matches. Maya's first opponent was a purple belt named Steve from another academy. Steve was bigger than Maya and had been training for 6 years. He was known for his aggressive takedowns and heavy top pressure. Maya felt calm as she stepped onto the mat. She had been preparing for this moment for months. She was ready to show everyone what she could do. The referee called them to the center of the mat. Maya and Steve touched gloves. The match was about to begin. Maya took a deep breath and smiled. This was her moment. This was her chance to prove that she belonged here. She was not the weak student that Jake had been bullying for months. She was a fighter, and she was ready to show everyone what she could do. The referee blew the whistle. The match began. Maya moved forward with confidence. She was not afraid of Steve's size or experience. She had been training for this moment with Marcus. She had been preparing for this level of competition. The entire academy had gathered around the main mat. Students from other schools had also stayed to watch the final match. Nobody wanted to miss this fight. Maya Rodriguez, the student who had been bullied and dismissed for months, was about to face Jake Morrison, the academy champion. Maya sat in the corner, breathing deeply and visualizing her game plan. She had studied Jake's fighting style for months. She knew his favorite techniques. She knew his weaknesses. She knew exactly how she wanted this fight to go. Jake was on the other side of the mat. Surrounded by his usual group of followers, he was stretching and joking with them, trying to act like this was just another easy match. But Maya could see the tension in his shoulders. She could see the concern in his eyes. "Don't worry about it, Jake," one of his friends said. "She got lucky in her first 2 matches. You're going to destroy her." Jake nodded, but he was not as confident as he pretended to be. He had watched Maya's earlier matches. She had looked completely different from the weak student he had been bullying. She had moved with skill and confidence. She had dominated experienced opponents. Carlos approached Maya before the match. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "I feel good," Maya said. "I feel ready," Carlos nodded. "You've already surprised everyone today. Just go out there and do your best." Maya appreciated Carlos's support, but she was not planning to just do her best. She was planning to win. She had been working toward this moment for months. Marcus had driven over from his gym to watch the tournament. He caught Maya's eye and gave her a thumbs up. Maya smiled. Marcus had taught her everything she needed to know for this fight. The referee called both fighters to the center of the mat. Maya and Jake walked toward each other slowly. The crowd was completely silent. Maya looked up at Jake. He was 6 inches taller than her and probably 40 pounds heavier. For months, he had used his size and strength to intimidate her. But Maya was not intimidated anymore. "You still have time to quit," Jake said quietly, so only Maya could hear. "I don't want to hurt you in front of all these people." Maya looked directly into Jake's eyes. "I'm not going anywhere," she said. Jake's expression hardened. He was done trying to scare Maya away. Now he was going to have to beat her. The referee explained the rules: 6-minute match, points for dominant positions and submission attempts. If neither fighter was submitted, the winner would be decided by points. Maya and Jake touched gloves. The referee stepped back. "Fighters ready?" the referee asked. Both fighters nodded. The referee blew his whistle. The match began. Jake immediately rushed forward, trying to grab Maya and take her to the ground. This was his usual strategy. He liked to use his size and strength to overpower his opponents early in the match, but Maya was ready. She had been expecting this. She moved smoothly to the side and avoided Jake's aggressive attack. Jake stumbled forward, off balance. Maya quickly moved behind Jake and jumped on his back. The crowd gasped. Maya had taken Jake's back in the first 10 seconds of the match. Jake was surprised, but he was experienced. He grabbed Maya's arms and tried to throw her off his back, but Maya held on tight. She had practiced this position thousands of times with Marcus. Maya started working for a rear naked choke. This was the same submission that Jake had used to humiliate her months ago. Now she was trying to use it against him. Jake felt Maya's arm sliding around his neck. He knew he was in danger. He spun quickly and managed to shake Maya off his back. But Maya landed on her feet and immediately went back on the attack. Jake was breathing hard. He had expected Maya to be passive and defensive. Instead, she was aggressive and attacking. This was not the same person he had been bullying for months. Maya shot for a takedown, trying to bring Jake to the ground. Jake sprawled to defend, but Maya was ready for this too. She smoothly transitioned to a different takedown and swept Jake's legs. Jake hit the mat hard. Maya was on top of him in full mount position. The crowd erupted in cheers. Maya began working for a submission from the mount position. She isolated Jake's arm and started applying an armbar. Jake defended desperately, but Maya's technique was perfect. Jake felt the pressure on his elbow increasing. He was in real danger of being submitted. He had to escape quickly or the match would be over. Jake bridged explosively and managed to roll Maya over. Now he was back on top, but Maya was not panicking. She had been in this position many times during her training with Marcus. Maya wrapped her legs around Jake's waist and pulled him close. She was now in guard position, which was one of her strongest positions. Jake tried to pass Maya's guard, but she was defending expertly. Every time Jake tried to move, Maya would sweep him or threaten with a submission. The crowd was amazed. Maya was not just surviving against Jake, she was controlling the match. She was making Jake work harder than anyone had ever seen. Jake was getting frustrated. He was used to dominating his opponents quickly. But Maya was different. She was calm and patient. She was waiting for the right moment to attack. That moment came halfway through the match. Jake made a small mistake while trying to pass Maya's guard. He put his weight in the wrong place for just a second. Maya immediately capitalized. She swept Jake and ended up on top in side control position. Jake tried to escape, but Maya was heavy and controlled. Maya began working for a submission. She isolated Jake's arm and started applying pressure. Jake defended, but Maya was patient. She was not rushing. Jake made another mistake. He tried to escape too quickly and exposed his neck. Maya immediately attacked with a choke. Maya wrapped her arm around Jake's neck and started applying pressure. Jake felt his air supply being cut off. He was in serious trouble. Jake tried to defend, but Maya's technique was perfect. She had practiced this choke thousands of times. She knew exactly how to apply it. Jake's face started turning red. He was running out of air. He was running out of time. The crowd was on their feet. Maya was about to submit the Academy champion. Jake made one desperate attempt to escape. He rolled hard and tried to break Maya's grip, but Maya held on tight. She was not letting go. Jake's movements became slower and weaker. He was losing consciousness. His face was turning purple. The referee was watching closely. He was ready to stop the match if Jake went unconscious. Jake's arms fell to his sides. His eyes rolled back. He was going to sleep. Maya felt Jake's body go limp. She had done it. She had choked out the Academy champion. The referee immediately stopped the match. Winner by submission, Maya Rodriguez, he announced. The crowd erupted in cheers. Students were jumping up and down. Even competitors from other academies were applauding. Maya let go of the choke and Jake slowly regained consciousness. He was confused and embarrassed. He had been submitted by the student he had been bullying for months. Maya stood up and raised her arms in victory. She had won the tournament. She had beaten everyone who had doubted her. Carlos rushed onto the mat and hugged Maya. "I can't believe it," he said. "You were incredible." Marcus also came onto the mat. "I'm proud of you," he said. "You showed everyone what you're made of." Jake slowly got to his feet. He was still dizzy from being choked unconscious. He looked at Maya with a mixture of shock and respect. "Good match," Jake said quietly. He extended his hand to Maya. Maya shook Jake's hand. "Thank you," she said. Jake walked away without saying anything else. His friends followed him, but they were not joking and laughing anymore. They had seen their champion defeated by someone they had considered weak. Maya was surrounded by people congratulating her. Students who had ignored her for months were now telling her how amazing she was. Students who had laughed at Jake's cruel comments were now praising her technique, but Maya was not interested in their approval. She had not done this to impress them. She had done this to prove something to herself. David, her old training partner, came up to her with tears in his eyes. "Maya, that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen," he said. "You were incredible." Lisa also congratulated Maya. "I've never seen anything like that," she said. "You completely dominated him." Maya smiled and thanked everyone, but she was thinking about her journey. 9 months ago, she had been a weak office worker who was afraid to walk into a martial arts academy. Tonight she was the tournament champion. Maya thought about all the times Jake had made her feel small. She thought about all the times she had wanted to quit. She thought about all the nights she had driven home feeling defeated and embarrassed, but Maya had not quit. She had used Jake's bullying as motivation to get better. She had found her strength in the darkest moments. She had proved that she belonged here just as much as anyone else. The tournament was over, but Maya's journey was just beginning. She had shown everyone that she was not the weak student they had thought she was. She had shown them that she was a fighter. As Maya drove home that night, she felt a sense of peace she had never experienced before. She had faced her fears and overcome them. She had been tested and had passed. Maya smiled as she thought about Monday's class. She wondered how Jake would act now that everyone knew the truth. She wondered if he would still try to bully her or if he had learned his lesson. Maya did not really care. She was not afraid of Jake anymore. She was not afraid of anyone. She had found her strength, and nobody could take that away from her.